What's going on, everybody? Wilson here, your spiritual hype man, and I got to do this again because now I am recording on video. And not that I wasn't already, but I figured I can do some of these shorts. And so the idea is I'd like to use Instagram NCUID at NCUID to just come up with some of these short clips or some of these gold nuggets and put them out there. And then if people like them or if you want to follow them for some quick motivational, emotional, et cetera, you can find it at ncyd.com. I mean, at ncyd on Instagram, or continue listening to the full episode. So once again, welcome back. And I know last week was only one episode. I'm going to try to just continue to be consistent. But like again, I said, I'd like to make sure that I have good content and I'm not just reiterating the same thing, because after a while it can get probably stale and all of a sudden boring, and next thing you know, nobody wants to listen, and we don't want that, right? We want to continue going. So there's things that happen, and there's things that are happening leading up to Thanksgiving that I think would be great to talk about. But before we get into, I guess, situational things of family and emotions and being present, things like that, there is something that that happened, and it was like an aha moment or an epiphany for me in terms of just understanding. So here's the concept. The concept is that like there are going to be situations in your life, and again, remember, life is just an accumulation of situations and decisions made over time. Okay, life is just an accumulation of situations and then decisions in those situations over a long period of time, and then those outcomes that we get equal our lives, right? Our present, our now. And so really the thought is like, what are the things that you're in, or what situations or what outcomes do you get that you're not feeling good, you're not happy about, you feel, underwhelmed, underexcited, not happy, etc. And then we really need to focus and put some awareness around those situations and then around the decisions that you've made to then next time that happens again, because most situations are cyclical based on what we do, what we decide to do, when, how, who, what, when, where, and how. To then make a conscious decision to make a different decision in that cyclical situation that has arisen again. And that in essence is life. So for the longest, again, I've gone through, and everyone's got their own story, their own chapter. But I would say I have gone through several experiences throughout my life that has helped me, or have always had me question, like, what the fuck am I doing? What does this really mean? And I feel like that's been a big notion or a big part of, where I'm at now and why I'm sharing things like this. So that way I can provide some perspective when it comes to, things that may be happening with you, or similarities that, in terms of situations, maybe not similar situations, but definitely similar feelings that we're trying to obtain in certain situations with emotions, right? With emotions that we share, because that's another thing that is most common. Not only do we have the same amount of time, for most people, we have the same understanding of similar emotions. So all that being said, I would say that this episode, I just want to touch base about understanding that there's certain things, or certain, let's see, when people say timing, right? So when they talk about timing, sometimes the timing is not correct. And I would agree, but I also think that there's a deeper thought or perspective behind that, because I feel like there are certain situations that you need to go through in order to be at a level, or at a level of being able to think in a certain way or have that experiences, right? So I feel like there's a certain level of experiences that you have to go through in order to get you to a level to think in a different manner, or come up with several different solutions or different ways to act in certain situations. But you wouldn't be able to think that way or have those thoughts of actions without going through some of these experiences. So if that makes sense, I'm going to try to say it again. and we all know how that happens. Like sometimes I can't say it again in the same manner, but I'm practicing, so we're getting better. It's really just understanding that there's going to be certain times or certain situations that a certain way of thinking or certain experiences that you have gone through will come in handy at that situation, at that moment of time, that you need to think that way, or it would be most beneficial to you if you thought this way and then acted on it in a particular manner based on having other experiences. Now, and I think that can be accumulated or summed up as timing, when people are like, timing is correct. Right. So timing, I feel like in that moment, timing is correct because of the experiences that you've gone through, and then your ability to understand in that one moment, like, I can think about it in this way, or there are other solutions, or there are other ways that I can act upon this situation that will get me closer to what I want to get versus the things that I've already experienced. And I think that is an accumulation of just overall timing, when people are like, timing was perfect. And I think that's, I don't want to, I believe, right? Like I assess based on my experiences that it's important. Because here's what happened. There was, again, sort of same thing when it comes to like business and work and financial gain and all that stuff. And so there were, there's a couple things that we're putting out there in terms, and again, for businesses, all we're doing, like on a macro sense of things, is we're servicing other people's, or we're helping other people with their time, right? Like we're helping them gain time by doing something that they don't want to, they don't want to do. When it comes to service, right? That's basically it. It's like, what can I do for you that you will exchange financial gain for me? In exchange for me, I'm going to do this service, right? Same thing with a product, but obviously a product is a product versus a service. And so, like every so often, more and more, luckily, we took a financial class. Shout out Laura Fickett. If you guys are looking to meet someone who is financially savvy and then also has a good educational IQ, and may want to learn more about how you can extend your finances, increase your finances, et cetera, Laura Fickett definitely is a great resource. So we were taking her class, and one of the prompts or the homework that we had to do was go back and then really look at, what are we providing in terms of our business? And this is how we took it. What are we providing in terms of our business? And then what can we continue to provide in a way that it would make most sense, not only for the client, but for us financially? And so, I was able to come home, relax. I'm not I drank a little bit of wine, smoked a little bit of weed. I got in my zone. And I was in this kind of flow state of just examining where we were. I enjoyed actually looking at everything that we've been doing financially and in terms of like what we're providing for our service. And within like 40 to 45 minutes, I was able to just look at it at a macro level of sense, right? Like look at the big picture. And then within like less than 45 minutes, I had a plan for 2024. And I was like, and I shared it with Patty. I was like, babe, listen, all we got to do is we got to do 9 clients in this vertical, 9 clients in this vertical, and we're good, right? Because the service that we're providing equals this, times 9 equals this. And that's really where we need to be in order to keep moving things forward. And so like it hit me that like that was the example like that I correlated to what I had said previously. Like if we didn't go through the experiences and the struggles of trying to figure out, or what are we servicing? What are we like? How are we pricing our service and our product? Because obviously videography and production is both. You get the service of working with us, and then you get the final product of either, an image or a video or, anything like that. So it dawned on me that like, if I were just starting and trying to do this, it's going to take me a lot longer, and there will be things that I don't think about because I didn't go through that experience. And then so going through that experience, or going through years of that experience, and then being at a moment of time that I needed to go back and then recall all of these things, it helped me much quicker put together what we were going to service or what we're going to be focusing on for this next year coming up within our business, within what we're providing. And so that was my aha moment. I was like, wow, that felt really good. Now having this in front of me gives me more clarity in regards to what we're going to be presenting to people, right, which is marketing, in regards to, hey, this is what we're offering, this is what we offer, and then knowing that we need an X amount of number, it like provides such clarity that everything else, there isn't that much added extra pressure or anxiety of like, what do we do? I don't know how. We got to go, but we got to make sure that we do, be successful in business. Now it's like, it's broken down in terms of just like real numbers, and then understanding that these numbers are equal to a fair price of my time, effort, energy, or our time, effort, energy when it comes to creating and providing a service in terms of what we're offering. And so that, in less than 11 minutes, was the aha moment of just understanding that there will be things that you will go through, right? Especially if you're new to it, and I've talked about this a little bit, there are things that you will have to experience in order to get you to a level of perfect timing or better timing, right? So through these experiences, you'll gain knowledge, you'll gain experience, and then at a moment when you need it in the future, you will have all of this information as long as you're aware and conscious enough to be able to tie that stuff together. It's only going to benefit you. So if you're in any of the positions, so I would say if you are currently in something along that situation, whether it is with business or it is with like relationships or dealing with, your family, friends, etc., like the relationship game, right? And that's the other thing that I think we'll talk about the podcast. It'll be called the relationship. Everything that we do is with other human beings, most of it, right? Like most of the things is interaction with other human beings, and it becomes a relationship game. It is how good are you at relationship building and providing the comfort zone that someone needs to feel good about the relationship they're in, to be a symbiotic, like back and forth, providing and servicing, giving back and forth, right? But I feel like that is the biggest aha moment that has come to fruition. And I hope, it hits home. And again, these experiences, the times that we've gone through those experiences that have helped me in less than 45 minutes come up with a plan for 2024 and be very excited about, those experiences took time, right? Took time and took emotion. And there were times where you felt like I felt like a failure, or I felt like I wasn't doing enough, or I felt like, man, how are we going to do this? I can't believe like where I'm at right now, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? You can listen to the rest of the podcast. But I would say the aha moment is trust that what you're going through, as long as you're making these decisions consciously in terms of why you're doing it, you will continue to grow through the experiences you have. And at some point, there'll be a moment that you need to really use all of these experiences to then create a plan mentally or just internally to understand what your next steps are. And when you have clarity, I think there's a lot less stress moving forward. And that is like a positive cycle, right? Like a upward cycle. So think of that. I hope this one was resonated with you, and just know that like whatever you're going through is an experience, and at some point you recall on it and use it for the betterment of your future self. And I think I'll end up on that one. So guys, I appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen, all you awesome listeners out there. Thank you for listening. I love seeing that people are tuning in and hearing perspective. Please share the podcast if you would. A rating would be great so we can populate, cheat. I don't want to say cheat, but, use the algorithm for good. So, and again, we're working on this site again at ncyd.com. It is down at the moment. But once it is up, I'm just going to go very basic. There's going to be some clothing, guys, some apparel, some that'll support us. But please give us some comments. I'd love to know, what your thoughts are. The podcast will be on there, and then we'll just keep growing this progressively. Thank you guys again. Have a great day. Just remember, it's the thoughts in our head, and if you're not feeling it today, that's okay. It's being able to shut those thoughts out. Change the thoughts with prompts. Or get up and do something physical. Or if you want to take the day for yourself and just feel it. But don't let it negatively impact you. Let it impact you enough that you get moving. All right, guys, I'll see you guys again. My name is Wilson, and don't forget, nothing changes until you do. Peace.